sometimes there's a lot of false promises in this boxing game, and you've got to get used to that. And it's a very different business to the business, the businesses I've been involved in. But it's you know, you learn to deal with it, and you know, sometimes you can be led down a false path. Eddie, you know, I've watched him on the telly, and he comes across brilliant. He's most probably the majorest player in world boxing right now, and yeah, you know, a good friend of mine, Ricky Mazzotta, was, you know, he's very, you know, he sees everything. He's around the boxing all the time. He's at all the fights. He was just thinking how my boxing career is getting stagnant. You know, he wanted to get the best out of it. He keeps on getting stagnated and put back, and the false promises, and he just thought about what is the best step, and he got in contact with Matchroom Promotions, and yeah, it was. We had a meet, and we took it from there.
I believe there was a fair bit of negotiations to get out of the contract with Frank Max.
Yes, yeah, there was a few negotiations, and you know, but it's for the better, and obviously you can see that now. Eddie Hearn's just made my career. You know, he's just helped push the career from zero to now fighting the World Boxing Super Series for the world title. And you know that people like Eddie Hearn, he's great for the sport in this country. He, not just this country, the world. You know, he's a man that honours everything he says. He's a great, astute businessman, and he must get that from Barry, his father. You know, they're a great duo.
Yeah. And are you surprised at how quickly he's delivered for you?
He's delivered everything he said. I couldn't ask for more. You know, and everything he said he's done. That's the character of the man.
Yeah. Obviously, you mentioned the World Boxing Super Series. That's why we're here. How excited are you to be part of it?
Great. You know, as soon as I got it, we sat down, my family, team. What an opportunity. Well, I wouldn't have ended it if I didn't think I could win it, and that's why we're working so hard, fully concentrated and ready for every fight in this competition. And the first stop is George, and it's not long now to the fight, and we're more than ready.
It's about money. George has already said he's thinking about retiring. He keeps talking about, you know, his last fights, and you know, he sounds like a lad that's really coming to the end of it for me. I think everyone's saying the same thing. So it's about money. He got more money, hell of a lot more money for fighting Jamie. Hell of a lot more money for fighting Jamie than any of the others. And if he meets 3 British fighters in this tournament, then the money he gets is considerably more, and it's business. Nothing to do about being the weakest. He knows Jamie's not the weakest. It's all about money. You know, and he's talking about Jamie's size and everything else, and nonsense again. I know we got in his head a little bit about the size factor and about Carl Froch being 12 stone 4 when he entered the ring in Wembley. That's a fact. He was 12 stone 4 walking into the ring. In fact, Carl never really went up much over that. He was always around his weight, touching distance of his weight. I know that's bothered George, but we never mentioned the weight. It was George that mentioned the weight. It was actually Shane that said Jamie was a light middle. Well, if that's the case, then Manny Pacquiao must be a light flyweight, because he made his pro debut at light fly, and that's where he was at the start of his career. So we won't consider him a welterweight champion. We'll consider him, he's a light fly. Nathan Cleverly made his pro debut, I think, at £151, £4 over the welterweight limit, or £3 inside the light middleweight limit. Does that make Nathan Cleverly a welterweight? Ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous nonsense, just nonsense. Jamie has to work to make 12 stone. Make no mistake about it, he has to work to make 12 stone. So yeah, George's motivation for this fight was money. That was his sole purpose of picking Jamie, was money.
A lot's been said from Team Groves' camp about your weight, but you're a very happy super middleweight, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm a good super middleweight. Okay, he might be extra big or killing himself to make the weight. I have to work to make the weight. Am I near enough on my deathbed before I get on the scales? No. But making middle would be very difficult, and so it's a very comfortable weight for me. Maybe they, I don't, I just let them think what angles they think is going to help make them feel better about the fight. All I'm prepared for is the best George Groves, the best, bringing his best attributes. That's what we're working towards.
And what do you make of George Groves' career to date?
I think he's had a good career. I think he's, they always talk about step-ups as well. He stepped up, but he stepped up and failed majority of the time. I haven't had a fight this magnitude yet. This is my first one, but we're ready to step up to that plate. We've been in some good fights, and now this is the biggest one of my life, and I'm ready to step up to the plate. I'm ready to give it I'll give it 100 in the gym, and we're ready for the fight. So yeah, we will see.
No problems about stepping onto that big stage that Groves thinks you might be a little bit timid about.
It's very funny. I boxed at Wembley Arena before, so I don't think, unless it's changed too much, I think it's still the same ring in the same arena. I don't know it's the same thing, just a different opponent, a better opponent for a more prestigious title, but the venue's the same.
What do you make of George Groves as a person?
To be honest, I only known him since teenager. I haven't spoke to him in many years, and he was always okay. I don't know. I only can see on the TV how he is. I don't know. I don't really know what he's like in person.
You've done a few media appearances with him. You've done the stare down.
Yeah.
You've done one stare down with him.
Yeah.
Anything in particular you take away from any of those?
I think he shows a bit of lack of respect, but he will see on October the 14th. This fight for him, if he's slipping, he's a big underestimate. He's underestimated me very badly, and people in boxing, if you go and ask the people in the gyms, they give you their thoughts on it and the best, you know, around the country, and they know it's going to be a competitive, very, very good fight. And if he thinks anything else, then that's very naive of him for someone of his level.
Do you get the feeling that he may have underestimated you?
I don't know if it's talk. I know they say George likes to play mind games or something like that, but I think he's very fragile mentally. You know, a dirty dog knows his own tricks is best. So, you know, I think he's very fragile. I feel he's very fragile. Me, I'm ready. That's all. You know, I feel ready for this fight. I don't really have too much to say on the matter. I just I'm prepared the best I can for this fight, and I'm ready to do what I need to do to win this fight.
And you're more focused than I've ever seen you before.
You have to be, you know. I'm not playing this down. You have to be. He's a very good fighter. You have to be on point. He's won a world title. So everything, you can't make mistakes, and that's why I'm more tuned into this fight, much more.
The training's gone really, really well. Everything, Jamie's done everything could be asked of him. He's done everything that could be asked of him. I'm very, very happy with the way trainers are.
I'm a good super middleweight. Okay, he might be extra big or killing himself to make the weight. I have to work to make the weight. Am I near enough on my deathbed before I get on the scales? No. But making middle would be very, very difficult, and so it's a very comfortable weight for me. Maybe they, you know, I don't, you know, I just let them think what angles they think is going to help make them feel better about the fight. All I'm prepared for is the best George Groves, the best, bringing his best attributes. That's what we're working towards.
Of course, I've got respect for all of them, every fighter. And George, you know, he has attributes. You got to acknowledge it. He's got a great jab, kick and punch. I say great jab. He's got a good jab, kick and punch. He hasn't got a great engine. He hasn't got a great chin. He hasn't got great feet. Jamie's got all of that. Jamie's got a great chin. He's got a fantastic engine. Rapid across the floor. And he can box. Jamie knows to box. He can box. Jamie can take a step off, and he can box. So we're more than prepared for anything George has got. I mean, I think Shane said, you know, we're going to set a few traps and walk him onto something. Surprise, surprise. We wasn't expecting that. That's all George does. He set traps, you know. So, you know, he tries to con you with his size and strength. You're going to con this kid. He won't have time to con Jamie. He won't have time to think about what he's going to do. So we've got a few traps, and we've got a few tricks up our sleeve too. We've got quite a few smarts, and we'll get to see him October 14th. And the end of the night, no excuses. We'll have an handshake, and hopefully we can go and have a gin and tonic with George. And I know he likes gin and tonic. And you know, we can have a chat about the fight. But up until then, it's business.
I think he's had a good career. I think he's, you know, they always talk about step-ups as well. He's stepped up, but he stepped up and failed majority of the time. I haven't had a fight this magnitude yet. This is my first one, but we're ready to step up to that plate. We've been in some good fights, and now this is the biggest one of my life, and I'm ready to step up to the plate. I'm ready to give it I'll give it 100 in the gym, and we're ready for the fight. So yeah, we will see.
I don't want to say too much, but stylistically, there's things I expect out of George. I don't think he can be anything else. I know Jamie can't be anything else but exciting. That's what Jamie does. That's what Jamie brings. But what Jamie will bring this time is a focused mind, a great temperament, a clear mind, and a 100% winning mentality. There is nothing else. We're not going for anything else. George Groves, win. That's it. Nothing else. That's all we're focused on. And then we'll think about everything else after that. You know, I heard George in an interview talking about Eubank. I won't be watching that fight, but then he couldn't shut up about him. Not interested in Eubank Yildirim. Good luck to them lads, you know. God bless them, good luck to them. Not interested in that fight. Only fight we're interested in, George Groves. That's it. When that fight's over, then we'll talk about everything else, but right now it's George Groves.
This is going to be this fight for him. You know, if he's slipping, he's a big underestimate. You know, he's underestimated me very badly. And you know, people in boxing, if you go and ask the people in the gyms, they give you their thoughts on it in the best, you know, around the country, and they know it's going to be a competitive, very good fight. And if he thinks anything else, then that's very naive of him for someone of his level.